Welcome to the Reality Revolution. It is a beautiful day to read the amazing words of Joseph Murphy. Joseph Murphy was a metaphysical teacher that taught about the power of the subconscious mind and wrote a plethora of incredible books. I really enjoy reading his particular style because it is easier for me to understand and get into. It's very practical. This comes from his book, How to Use the Laws of Mind, The Secret of Success in Life. Every person in the world wants to succeed. You are born to win, to conquer, and to lead the triumphant life. You should be a wonderful success in your prayer life, your chosen work, your relationship with people, and in all other phases of your life. Success is a powerful incentive, for the life principle in you is always seeking expression through you at higher levels. You are successful when you lead a full and happy life, when you are expressing yourself at your highest level and contributing your talents to the world. In a successful undertaking, you rise as high as you can, and your enterprise is of benefit to humanity. It brings you material reward, and its production is a pleasure to you. Success is many-sided, however, and what is deemed success by one may be regarded as failure by another. Recently, I talked with a man who said that he had subordinated all ends to money-making and he had accumulated a vast amount of money and real estate holdings. He added that in the business world he is called a great success. He admitted to me, though, that he was not a success. He had used questionable means to take advantage of others and had won his fortune through cheating and deceiving others who had trusted him. He was presently suffering from bleeding ulcers and extremely high blood pressure. Furthermore, he had a guilt complex which meant to him that he had to suffer and be punished. His bleeding ulcer, as I explained to him, was due to ulcerated thoughts. Further, if he would reverse his thought pattern, a healing would follow. He was suffering from the side effects of the drugs he was taking. He consequently reversed his thought patterns by reiterating the following truths out loud night and morning. The Lord is my shepherd. I sing the song of the jubilant soul, for I have chosen God as my shepherd. Divine intelligence rules and guides me in all my ways. I shall not want for peace, harmony, or guidance, because God's wisdom governs me. I lie down in green pastures always, since God is prospering me beyond my wildest dreams. I find myself beside the still waters as I claim the infinite peace of God floods my mind and heart. My emotions are stilled and calm. My mind is now serene, and it reflects God's heavenly truths and light. My soul is restored. I think of God's holy presence within me all day long. I walk the path of righteousness through my devotion and attention to God's eternal verities. I know there is no death, and I fear no evil. I know God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love and power and a sound mind. God's rod, love, and staff, truth, comfort, sustain, and nourish me. The banquet table of God is always set before me. It is the secret place of the Most High, where in my thoughts I walk and talk with God. I eat nourishing truths of God whenever fear and worry, my enemies, trouble me. The bread I eat is God's idea of peace, love, and faith in all things good. The meat I eat is the omnipotence of God. The wine I drink is the essence of joy. The wisdom of God anoints my intellect. It is lamp unto my feet and a light on my path. My cup is truly the chamber of God's holy presence. It runneth over with love and joy. I mentally dwell on goodness, truth, and beauty. This is my house of God. As he saturated his mind with the interpretation of the 23rd Psalm over a period of time, he noticed a distinct change in his whole demeanor and outlook on life. He became more kindly, considerate, and more loving in all ways. Drugs were no longer necessary. He discovered that a changed attitude changed everything. He ceased condemning himself. The life principle never condemns, and when you begin to use your mind in the right way, right results follow. Your mind is a principle, and if you think good, good follows. If you think lack, lack follows. The life principle holds no grudges, no more so than the principles of mathematics or chemistry hold grudges. You may have been fired by companies you worked for because you could not add or subtract correctly. But by following proper instruction, you don't make these mistakes anymore. The principle of mathematics has no grudge against you. The same is true of your mind. Begin to use the law of mind in the right way according to the golden rule and the law of love. The mind principle has no grudge against you. The past is forgotten and remembered no more. Edison knew that speech produced undulatory waves and theorized that these vibrations could reproduce the speech or song. In other words, he conceived of inverse transformation, the reproduction of speech or song by mechanical motion, namely the phonograph. Students of scientific laws know that all transformations of force are reversible. Heat produces mechanical motion. Reverse it and you discover that mechanical motion can produce heat. Science says electricity produces magnetism. Likewise, magnetism can produce electric currents. Cause and effect, energy and matter, action and reaction are the same and are interconvertible. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that you receive them, and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24. Here you are told to pray believing that you already possessed what you pray for. This is based on the law of inverse transformation. Achieve success in prayer. A mother wished to visit her son in London, who was graduating from college. However, she did not have the necessary funds. I asked her what her attitude would be if she were over there now, embracing him and witnessing the graduation exercises. She said, "Oh, I would be so happy, I would be delighted." I suggested that she experiment at night prior to sleep, making their here and the future now, and to feel herself embracing her son, making the whole scene vivid and realistic, so much so that when she opened her eyes, she would be amazed that she was not in London with her son. Experimenting along these lines, the third night she subjectified the state. When she opened her eyes, she was really amazed that she was not physically there. The answer to her prayer came with the repayment of a loan she had given to a woman 10 years previously. With the interest added to it, it was more than the amount necessary for her trip. She assumed that she was already witnessing the ceremony and conversing with her son, and that joyous feeling and assumption brought about the joy of the answered prayer. She contemplated her objective as an accomplished fact. She understood that all transformations of force are reversible. She knew that her physical presence in London would bring her great joy and satisfaction. Capturing in her mind the joy that would be hers in being there, this mood she knew must produce the answer to her prayer. He calleth those things which be not as though they were. Romans 4:17. Success in your prayer life is based on laws of mind. Realize that if a physical fact can produce a joyous mental state in you, the joyous mental state can produce the physical fact. Unscrupulous methods. When a man uses unscrupulous financial or business methods, he may not suffer financial loss, but loss can come to him in many ways, such as loss of health, loss of promotion, loss of prestige, loss of self-respect, loss of love, etc. For the ways of the subconscious are past finding out. All misdeeds or misuse of the law of mind must be accounted for sooner or later. The only success that permits a man to rest peacefully and harmoniously is that which conforms to the golden rule, i.e. to think, speak, and act toward others as he would wish others to think, speak, feel, and act toward him. Success is primarily moral and spiritual, governed by honesty, integrity, and justice, and tempered by goodwill to all men everywhere. All of us are interdependent, and it is reasonable to assume that the welfare of others is essential to the success of every man. It is undoubtedly true that the more man cares for and appreciates the spiritual life, the more he will use his material wealth wisely, judiciously, and constructively. A spiritually minded person should be comfortably housed, clothed, and fed. In other words, he realizes that all things are here for his use and enjoyment. God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy, 1 Timothy 6:17. It is true that no one possesses anything in the absolute sense. God possesses all, but we have the use of God's treasures in the earth, including the sea and the air. A spiritual-minded person should have all the money he needs to do what he wants to do, and when he wants to do it. Money is simply a medium of exchange, and it has taken many forms down through the ages. It is God's way of maintaining the economic health of a nation. Success in spiritual work. You must realize that a spiritual work or a spiritual organization is not a success if it is constantly begging for more money. This practice is evidence of downright failure. This could be called spurious spirituality. If the spiritual approach to life is successful, it is needed by the world and will be supported. The successful man is not a mere partisan, but a real truth seeker. The spiritual-minded person is not a proselytizer, but a co-worker on the way. The secret of the truth seeker is his fidelity to the inner promptings of his higher self. The infinite presence in each of us grants us the potentialities of success, and we are here to go forth conquering and to conquer. Recently, I gave some spiritual advice to a president of a very large corporation. He was very successful, had all the money he needed, lived in $1 million home, and had all the comforts and luxuries of life. Of course, there is nothing wrong with that. He came to this country penniless and had reached the top in his field, all of which is good. However, he was not successful in the art of living. He had very high blood pressure and suffered from migraine headaches and colitis. He said to me, "I am a nervous wreck. I have tried tranquilizers, sedatives, antispasmodic tablets, and nothing seems to help." I suggested that all he really needed was peace of mind and that no one could give him that but himself. I pointed out to him the direction where he could find it. I suggested that he read and meditate on the inner meaning of the 23rd Psalm 2 or 3 times a day and affirm frequently during the day, "God's peace fills my soul." I emphasized that if he began to think constructively and about the eternal verities in the 23rd Psalm, he could improve himself physically and find inner peace. He was desperate and was willing to try anything. I gave him the book Within You Is the Power, in which the inner meaning of the 23rd Psalm is given. He had an open mind and began to meditate on the psalm and other chapters of the book. He found that inner quietude and peace which he had been seeking. Turning back to the God presence within and communing with divine love and divine peace, his soul was restored. A full cup cannot receive any more. There are some minds so full of false beliefs, opinions, and weird and grotesque concepts of God that it is impossible to insert anything new, vital, and constructive. I recently said to an alcoholic, "Admit that you are an alcoholic. Open your mind to new ideas." A closed mind can receive no interpretations of life, no more so than your closed hand can receive a proffered gift of a book from me. He said that his excessive drinking was all due to pressure and tension at work. He made a great deal of money, but most of it went to the bar. He was hungry and thirsty for a healing. At this point, he came to a decision that he wanted to be healed, which in itself is 75% of the healing process. I explained to him that his subconscious mind would accept his whole-souled conviction and that sincerity was essential. At night, prior to sleep, he affirmed feelingly, knowingly, and lovingly, "God gives me freedom, sobriety, and peace of mind. Thank you, Father." That was his prayer for 5 or 6 minutes every night. Actually, he was writing with his conscious mind freedom, peace, and sobriety in his subconscious mind. In less than a week, he succeeded in impregnating his subconscious mind, and he lost all desire for alcohol. The law compelled him to freedom, whereas before, it compelled him to be a compulsive drinker. You can use any law 2 ways. He decided to use this one the right way. The Bible says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. The Bible is a psychological and spiritual textbook, and is not referring to a particular man. The characters in the Bible are personifications of truth. You do not go to any person for rest, security, or peace of mind. You go to the God of peace within you, and boldly claim, "God's river of peace, love, and joy is now flowing through me, vitalizing, healing, and restoring my soul." The divine presence is within you. As you contemplate God's love, light, truth, and beauty in your own heart, you are enfranchised and lifted up because you have found God in your own heart. The divine center is within you. The psalmist says, "Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him." Psalm 37:7. The word Lord represents spiritually the lordly power, which is God. But just in the Lord means to rest and trust that infinite spirit in you, which created you, governs all your vital organs as you sleep, and is in complete control of all externals. In other words, it is your higher self. In ancient times, there were feudal barons who had the power of life and death over the serfs, slaves, and peasants under their control. The lords in England today represent titled nobility and have no such power. Look at the whole thing this way. The Lord in you is really your dominant conviction, your master thought or belief which controls and dominates all lesser thoughts, ideas, opinions, actions, and reactions. For example, your Lord could be fear, i.e., if you are dominated by fear, if fear predominates, then fear governs and controls all your thoughts, feelings, actions, and reactions. A wonderful Lord to enthrone in your mind would be a God of love, ruling, guiding, and directing you along all lines. This dominant conviction would work wonders in your life, and your whole world would magically melt in the image and likeness of your dominant conviction. When divine love and divine right action govern you, the true Lord is ruling in you and will keep you in peace. You will be successful in your work and in your relationships with people. You will have good health and be free from despondency and melancholia. Your dominant belief rules your world and determines your future, where you shall go and what your experiences will be. Whether good or bad, Quimby said in 1847, man is belief expressed. You will be assured of success, true expression, and harmonious relations with others when you make it a habit to tune in to the divine center within you and look upon the divine presence within you as your guide, counselor, way shower, and source of your promotion and welfare. Then all the pretty, fearful, annoying worries, jealousies, and envies will fall away. There is no room for them in your mind anymore. All of us suffer until we get the insight to look within. The Bible says, "In returning and rest shall ye be saved." Isaiah 30:15. There is a man of over 90 years, chronologically speaking, who comes to hear me occasionally on Sunday mornings. Recently he said to me that about 30 years ago he had the same concept of God as he had when he was a little boy. His concept was that of an angry, spiteful God, a sort of oriental sultan who ruled tyrannically. He lived in fear and thought that the will of God was that he should suffer. And the doctor said, "You have about 2 months to live. Get your affairs in order." A young woman visiting another patient in his hospital room gave him a pamphlet on how to use the healing power, which he read avidly. All of a sudden, he had a great thirst and hunger to live. He got up out of bed, insisted on going home, and invited all of his friends to a restaurant for dinner and refreshments. He said, "I am celebrating my resurrection." His belief and new insight into the infinite healing presence within him responded, and this spiritual transfusion transformed his entire life. He said that he has accomplished far more in the last 30 years than he had in all the previous 60 years. He broke away from all of the old moth-eaten patterns, the old ruts and false concepts, and entered into a new life wherein he contributed to the success of all those he supervised and befriended. Watch your words. Your subconscious mind takes you literally. I know a man, a builder who is about 55 years of age. His wife complains that he is constantly saying, "I am getting old. I'm not as strong anymore as I used to be. My memory is failing. I can't take it anymore." This man looks to be over 80 years old and is experiencing weakness, decrepitude, lack of vitality, and the joy of living. She reminds him of the working of his subconscious mind, but he ridicules it and says that there is no such thing as a subconscious mind. His mind is closed and he is expressing what he is impressing on his subconscious mind. Life never grows old. Age is not the flight of years, but the dawn of wisdom. Love, faith, confidence, joy, goodwill, laughter, and inspiration never grow old. Life is always seeking expression through you at higher levels, whether you are 90 or 9. Learn to listen to the impulses from within. These are the urges of the Spirit or God in you saying to you, "Come on up higher. I have need of you. Welcome the soft tread of the unseen guest in your heart. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly." John 10:10. This is the urge of the life principle within you. It is the infinite presence causing you to be aware of the murmurings, whisperings, inspiration, and dreams, enabling you to move onward, upward, and Godward. Emerson said, "Nothing will give you peace but the triumph of principles." You would not wire your house unless you understood and applied the principles of electricity. You would not manufacture chemicals unless you understood the principles of chemistry. In building a house, you must be initiated into the principles of construction. If you decide to become a musician, you must study music and practice. And as time goes on, perhaps you can play a classical piece of music even though blindfolded. You will have established the equivalent in your subconscious mind, which enables you to play automatically. Your mind is a principle. Think good, and good follows. Think of lack and limitation, and you experience lack and impoverishment. You are what you think all day long. Learn the laws of your mind and practice them. For example, any idea you have which is emotionalized and felt as true enters into your subconscious mind and comes to pass. Knowing that, you are careful how to impress your subconscious mind. During a conversation I had with a practitioner, she mentioned that she gives people a lot of time and good advice, but many never pay her. I suggested to her that she could overcome that by affirming that all those who come to her are blessed, healed, and prospered, and that they gladly pay in divine order. She changed her attitude and her subconscious responded. The reason many clients had not paid her was because in the daytime she was a social worker, and her subjective thinking was about poor people and poverty. She became very successful following her new insight into the way the mind works. Many people say, "If it's the will of God, I want it." If your prayer is preceded by "if," your manifestation will be very iffy and probably will never come to pass. A woman seeking companionship said, "I'm too old, I'm homely." She recited all the reasons why she could not get married instead of all the reasons why she could. I said to the woman who had these defeatist ideas, "The man you are seeking is seeking you." The last time he got married, his wife was so beautiful she ran around and slept with all the boys. He does not want that now. He wants you. I continued by saying that she should read the newspapers and see all the names and ages of people 60, 70, and 80 years of age getting married. Infinite Spirit will attract to you the right companion in divine order, but you must claim it. Think of all your good qualities and what you have to give a man. Let that be your broadcast, and by the law of reciprocal relationship, you will attract the right man into your life. Your sincerity will make it real. She followed these simple instructions and in due course received an answer to her prayer. Another superstition is if it's God's will. That is too absurd for words. The will of God is a greater measure of life, freedom, expression, and growth. Any idea or desire that you have for growth, wealth, success, or healing is the will of God for you. Focus on your desire. Bring your conscious and subconscious together at one point. Then you will bring your desire to pass. Another superstition is, if it's right for me. What is not right for you? It is right for you to lead the abundant life. It is right for you to have perfect health, peace, harmony, joy, abundance, security, true place, and all the blessings of life. God gave you richly all things to enjoy. Take a weaver's loom. All threads are on it, black, brown, yellow, etc. The loom takes all the threads and cares not. Supposing you look at a carpet and say that it is awful and an eyesore. Change the thread, and the loom is mechanical and responds accordingly. Your conscious mind is the weaver. Your subconscious is the loom. A man opens up a brothel and makes a lot of money. The subconscious does not care. It has no morals. It expresses what is impressed upon it, whether good or bad. For example, a man may inherit a lot of money. Perhaps he will spend it badly. Perhaps he will gamble and lose it all. Or perhaps, if he is of a religious persuasion, he will teach limitation and instill fear into the minds of people. Remember, the law is impersonal. If you misuse the law by hurting others or by robbing or depriving them in any way, the law of your mind responds in its own way. Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. Romans 12:19. Live according to your highest ideals. A man asked me why it was that sexual perverts and dope fiends write good poetry, music, and wonderful plays. The answer is simple. God or infinite intelligence is no respecter of persons and will respond to the altruist, pervert, or murderer, providing he believes, and according to his belief, is it done unto him. Another superstition that some people have is that God is testing them. They have a messianic complex that God is up there in the clouds somewhere and is going to drop a great challenge to them to see how they are going to handle it. God does not punish or test anyone. Man punishes himself because of ignorance and misuse of the laws of mind. The only sin is ignorance, and all the suffering in the world is the consequence. You are needed. The poet said, "We are all parts of one stupendous whole, whose body nature is, and God the soul." There must be joy in your work. In olden days, when they made a table, a statue, or a chair, there was a song in their heart. They took pride in their work. The larger piece in the table or the building needs the small. All the component parts go to make up the unit. You are needed. There is no misfit in the universe. All notes are necessary for the symphony. There's no one in all the world who can do something just like you, because only you are you. You are unique. If you are a cook, you are essential to the general of the army. There is nothing useless but your belief and concept that you are. Your subconscious accepts what you really believe, and you experience accordingly. Meditation for success. Wist ye not that I be about my Father's business? I know that my business, profession, or activity is God's business. God's business is always basically successful. I am growing in wisdom and understanding every day. I know, believe, and accept the fact that God's law of abundance is always working for me, through me, and all around me. My business or profession is full of right action and right expression. The ideas, money, merchandise, and contacts that I need are mine now and at all times. All these things are irresistibly attracted to me by the law of universal attraction. God is the life of my business. I am divinely guided and inspired in all ways. Every day, I am presented with wonderful opportunities to grow, expand, and progress. I am building up goodwill. I am a great success because I do business with others as I would have them do it with me. And that is the secret of success in life. Joseph Murphy describes his laws of mind and gives us some unique new laws that we can add to our understandings. The first is the law of inverse transformation. Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy are both accredited for explaining the law of inverse transformation, which tells me this might be an idea that they got from their fellow mentor Abdullah. In Neville's book, Prayer, the Art of Believing, his clear explanation is nearly word for word repetition in an audio recording of Murphy's. It seems that he is maybe even reading from Neville's book. Murphy does, however, add his own stories and examples. So what is the law of inverse transformation? And why is it not more widely spoken of? If a physical fact can produce a psychological state can produce a physical fact. Very clearly as it is, If a thing would bring you a certain feeling, then that feeling would bring to you the thing. This is all based on the law of cause and effect, which you can read about further in the Kabbalion. The law of inverse transformation reminds us that if we want something in order to feel a certain way, then feeling that way now will manifest the thing desired. Check out my episode, Thinking From. This is also classic Abraham Hicks teaching, feel it now, become it now. Per Neville, enter the state and live in the end in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Another law mentioned here is the law of reciprocal relationship. The idea is that infinite spirit will attract to you the right companion in divine order, but you must claim it. You think of all your good qualities, what you have to give to someone else, and understand that the person you're seeking is seeking you. He discusses this law in terms of broadcasting outward. Those are two more subtle things mentioned in this chapter, but he also is reiterating the important concept that your subconscious mind is impersonal and it does not judge. So when you bring guilt to it, that only adds to the flavor of it. It will do whatever, depending on whatever you do. And the only sin is ignorance, according to Murphy. So you understand that it doesn't matter what you think. If you desire fire, fire will be manifested in your life. If you desire cold, cold will be manifested. There is no judgment by your subconscious. It simply produces whatever you ask. It is impersonal. If you feel guilty about it, then your feelings of guilt that you bring to it is what manifests the outward expression of your guilt, not your subconscious.